everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is Haley and I am here to tell you guys about a topic I have been wanting to talk about for really quite a long time, which is all of the different ways that you can publish your books. And there are just so many, and it's so difficult unless you just have somebody sit down and explain them all to you. Kitties, leave my camera alone. Unless, and I have a new batch of kitties, by the way, they are so troublesome. So we're gonna try to get through this whole video without them breaking anything, but I'm actually a little bit concerned. Come here. So this is Bo, that was Autumn that you just saw. Anyways, there are 5 different types of publishing that I want to tell you guys about, and I have personal experience with 4 of them. So I want to tell you a little bit about how they've worked for me, how I know they've worked for other people, and whether or not they might be right for you. So 2 of them are more traditional publishing in the sense that it's going to be somebody else picking up your work and paying you for it. And then 3 of the options are the ones that you pay for to get your book out there into the hands of your readers. So without further ado, we'll just go ahead and get started. The first one that I want to talk about is just called traditional publishing. And this is the one that most writers picture when they first start setting out to write a book and they're like, this is what I'm going to do with my life. You picture a publisher picking you up, paying you for the work, and then publishing it and distributing it across all of America, across the whole world. That is what a traditional publisher is. So they pay you for the work, and then they're in charge of doing like the distribution and the marketing and the production. And I know everyone's gonna, like, who's been in the business is gonna stop me right there and be like, no, traditional authors still have to do a lot of their own marketing, which is true. But for the most part, these traditional publishers take that off of your shoulders. So there are 5 top traditional publishers, and that is like Penguin, that's Simon & Schuster, that is Macmillan. I can suddenly only think of 3, but there's 2 others. There's 5 big ones, and they're the ones who are gonna get you on like a national scale. But here's what you need to know is that the difficult part about getting traditionally published is getting them to notice you and to take you on and accept you, because there are literally millions of writers, right? Just in the United States alone, and a lot of them would love to get their work picked up traditionally. So the way that these publishers work is they go through agents only. So you can't, as a writer, just write to Simon & Schuster and say, hi, Simon & Schuster, would you like to read my book and maybe pick it up and pay me $100,000 for it? You can't do that because they would be getting a million letters a year. I mean, tens of thousands a day. It just wouldn't be feasible. So they only talk to agents. You have to be represented by an agent. So the real game is that you have to get yourself picked up by an agent. So that includes like writing query letters. So you're basically writing a letter to all the agents who are really interested in like your kind of work. And you're saying, hi, this is my name. This is what my book is about. I would love if you're interested in representing it. And so you send out a bunch of these letters. And basically you're hoping for an agent to say yes, to say, oh wow, this sounds really interesting. I would love to represent it for you. And then if you can get an agent booked, then they represent you to the big publishers. And then basically they have to pitch it to the publishers. And then if the publishers like what the agents are pitching, then they'll pick it up, they'll publish your work. They might pay you $10,000 in advance. If it's like a really hot piece, it may be more than that. There's a lot of different ways that royalties work. So a lot of times it'll be in advance, and then once you earn out that advance, so like if you're getting a small percentage per book, then once you earn that amount worth of your advance, then you start making royalties, which that was kind of a convoluted way to explain it. It all depends on your contract. But basically, traditional publishing is where they pick up the book and they pay you for the work. So the second one that is kind of along those same lines is what I'm going to call the small press publishers. So we talked about the big 5, right? And those are kind of who I consider like traditional publishers, like you're really trying to compete for those big 5. And of course there are others who are still kind of close to that level. But what I want to talk about next is small publishers. So small publishers are going to be a little bit different. They're the same in that they're going to pay you for the work, and then they're going to take a lot of the burden off of you. So they're doing the production, they're doing the marketing, they're doing the distribution, and of course you do still have to do a lot of your own marketing, but a lot of it is done for you. So you know, they're making swag, they're making like the posters that you're gonna bring to your events, and they're helping you book venues for where you're gonna do these things. What's different about a small press than like these big five that we were talking about is Mr. Whiskers. So small presses don't always need agents. So a lot of times you can actually query directly to them and they are going to pick you up without the need of an agent, because an agent is going to take 15% of your sales. That's how they get paid. By the way, if an agent ever wants you to pay them to represent you, they're not a real agent. They take a piece of your sales. So they are commission based only. Any agent who wants you to pay them is a fraud. But these small presses a lot of times don't need agents, so you don't need to give up that 15% of your revenue. But something to know is they're probably not going to be publishing on a national level like one of those big five would be. And another thing to know is that a lot of the stuff that the small press is going to do for you is honestly something that you could do for yourself through self-publishing. So that's what I want to talk about next. So I want to talk about 3 different ways that you can self-publish. So we talked about traditional, going through one of like the big publishers, which needs an agent. We talked about small presses. And so I have experience with like the big presses. I at one point had an agent. I at one point was being considered by all of those big top, the Simon & Schuster's, the Penguin. I was being considered by Disney at one point. It didn't pan out for me. I did actually end up going to self-publishing, but I remember when I very first started researching self-publishing, there was so much to know. Come here. Oh yeah, you want to take the camera down with you, don't you? Let go. Sorry. Oh, come here. No, come here. All right. So where were we? I was just saying, oh, there's just so much to know. And I finally decided I was going to do self-publishing. And I'll be honest with you guys and tell you, when I first started out, self-publishing to me was like the route of failure. You know, I considered it like you either got traditionally published and you made it, or you failed and you fell back on self-publishing because there was nothing else for you. Which now I actually really do think differently. Self-publishing is a totally viable option. I obviously make my living off of it, so I'm here to tell you guys about kind of like the options for what you can do in the self-publishing sphere. So the first one that I want to talk about is, we always used to call them vanity presses. I believe that they have just rebranded themselves as hybrid publishers. I, to be honest, don't see any difference between a vanity press and a hybrid publisher. I think that the reason that they rebranded is because the term vanity press, I think, just sounds so negative that they didn't want to be called that anymore. So now they call themselves hybrid publishers. And you guys can, you know, leave me a comment if you think I'm wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure they're exactly the same. So, hang on, who's calling me? Hi, Mr. Whiskers, where are you? I hear you. Where are you? Stop it. Oh, I found you. Are you stuck? Come here. Come here. Anyway, you goober. So vanity publishers are basically, they're going to do a lot of the work for you, almost like a small press would, but they are not going to pay you. They want you to pay them. And there is a very negative connotation in the writing world kind of surrounding the term vanity publishers and vanity presses. And I want to tell you, like, first of all, that there doesn't have to be, and I don't know why there is, like, people just view them so negatively, but you really don't have to, because what they're doing is just providing a service. And I think that the reason that people have such a negative opinion of them is because they come across almost a little bit scammy, because what they'll do is they will advertise that they're going to publish your book, and then what they actually want is for you to pay them $5,000 to publish your book. So they kind of parade around acting like they are a traditional publisher, when really they just want to get you on the phone and then sell you on a package where they're going to do everything for you. That's why they kind of have that negative connotation. It's just because they're not always totally honest about what their services are. But in my opinion, once you know what they are, going through a vanity press or a hybrid publisher is actually really not that bad of a move necessarily, because what you're doing is you're paying them to do the printing, you're paying them to help you with the marketing, to help you with the distribution. And I actually have a contract with one of these presses, a hybrid publisher, who has been doing my distribution for me. So I shipped them 2 massive, massive pallets of my hardcover books. And I said, please just get these into bookstores for me. Like, I paid them to do that, to like put together a marketing plan where they would reach out to bookstores and they would get those books in for like, you know, for people to be able to see them in person and buy them, because I have such pretty covers. I was like, if I can just get them into bookstores, then like people are going to impulse buy these books. So I actually work with a hybrid publisher. I cannot say that it's necessarily been the best experience, but a lot of the reason for that is because we signed and I shipped them the books and everything started working right as COVID hit. So I have not necessarily had the best experience working with a hybrid publisher, but I really think that might just be because of the times. I think that in other circumstances they would have done a better job of getting the books into bookstores, but obviously bookstores are very much closed right now. There aren't a lot that are open. So that's what a vanity or hybrid press is they're like providing the services to you in exchange for really usually very large sums of money. So we're talking $5,000, $10,000. They're gonna print the books, they're gonna warehouse them, they're gonna distribute them, they're gonna help you with the marketing. So just know that if you're getting a call from a publisher, so if you go online and you enter in your phone number anywhere and a publisher calls you, they're not a publisher. They are not somebody who is going to pay you to print the books. They are somebody who is providing a service in exchange for money. And that's just what business is. There's nothing wrong with that, but know up front that if somebody is trying to charge you several $1,000s to print your books, that is what they are. They are a hybrid / vanity press. So that's one way to self-publish. It's, I would say, like the most frowned upon in our industry, but I honestly, like, if that's what you want to do, do it. You're just paying somebody for a service to help you do the formatting, to do everything. And yes, you can learn it yourself, but maybe you don't want to. Anyway, that's the first way to self-publish. So we've covered 3: traditional, small press, hybrid / vanity. And then the 4th one, okay, I'm going to talk about 4 and 5 together. So, oh, there's so much to know. So there are, when you're like full on self-publishing, I don't mean with hybrid or vanity or anyone helping you, like you want to do this yourself, there are really 2 routes that you can go. And most people don't really know about the second one. Most people only know the first one. So the first one is called print on demand. So print on demand that's through like KDP, stands for Kindle Direct Publishing, or Lulu, or, oh my gosh, what are the other ones? Ingramspark is another really big one. And how that works is, it is so easy. You guys, it's so easy. Anybody can do it, but you're probably not gonna make a lot of money. I'm just gonna like kind of throw that out there. So the way that this works is, if somebody goes to Amazon and you have your book through print on demand, all you have to do is you literally send Amazon KDP. You send KDP your files of what will be the finished book once it's printed. And then every time one of your friends or your family members or your fans, if you have them, if they go to Amazon and they order a copy of your book, Amazon literally just prints 1 copy at a time and sends it out to them. So if you write a book and you're super excited, you upload it to Amazon and I want to go buy it, I'll buy it, and then Amazon, they literally don't have them on hand. They print an entire book and they will ship it to me. And then, you know, you might have to charge 15, 20 bucks for it. You're probably gonna make about $2 of that, and Amazon's gonna keep the rest, right? So I pay 20 bucks for it. Amazon keeps 18 for, of course, you know, it did cost them money to print it. It didn't cost them $18. Probably cost them like 3 or 4 to print it. They're gonna keep the rest as their profit, and you might make 2 bucks. But you didn't have to put any of your own money in at all. It was super easy, right? All you had to do was upload the files, and then you just wait for the money to roll in. And it might only be $2 at a time, but if you're very good at marketing and you can get a lot of those $2 sales, that can add up. But I'm gonna warn you in advance, please stay away from my camera. They will do literally nothing for you marketing wise. There's kind of this misconception that if you upload your books to Amazon, they might do like a little bit of advertising, you might get some outside sales. Don't count on it. I mean, don't count on a single sale outside of your friends and your family and the people that you brought to Amazon to buy those books. So everything marketing is 100% up to you. They will not do any of it. So I just want you guys to know that up front. It's so easy. And it doesn't cost you anything. But you literally only make $2 per sale, and you know, it's hard to get those sales. So that's what print on demand is. And I'm gonna show you guys a picture because I do have an account set up with print on demand. So basically, if you went to Amazon and you tried to buy my books in paperbacks, you're gonna be able to. And what it is Amazon is printing those books one at a time and they're shipping them to you. So I make $2 every time you buy a paperback copy of my books on Amazon, which is awesome. And then, you know, you get the book, you get to read it. I made some money. I didn't have to invest anything, but I'm going to show you guys a picture so you can see what a print-on-demand book looks like. So there is, and you know what? This is what most authors do. So I don't want to like knock these. I'm going to give you guys my honest review. They're just kind of okay. You know, it's a book. It's got a cover. It'll look nice. If you have nice cover art, your cover's gonna look cool. But what you can't have is, you can't have hard covers. Technically, there are some places who will print hard covers for you with print on demand. But they're gonna charge you like 25 bucks a book to do a hardcover, so it's not feasible to do hardcovers with print on demand at all. You also can't get things like silver letters or embossing or dust jackets. Again, there are a couple exceptions to that, but they're gonna charge you through the nose for it. And the reason is because you have those, it scales economically, right? When you print more books at a time, when you're only printing one book at a time, it's gonna cost you a lot per book to print them. So that's why you're not making very much with print on demand. So that brings me to our last option for self-publishing. And this is what I do. I'm gonna tell you guys a little bit about like how this works, my whole method behind it, and why it is that I chose this. I was doing so much research when I finally decided I was gonna self-publish, trying to figure out, do I want to do print on demand or do I want to do something called offset printing? And this is what a lot of people don't realize is an option to self-published authors, is offset printing is done in massive batches. So you are getting the quality of a lifetime. I mean, seriously. Like all of my books, you can run your fingers over them. They're embossed. The letters are shiny on the sides, on the front, on the inside cover. You take this jacket off, there's shiny letters here, there's shiny letters on the back. They're hard covers. Like the quality, to be honest, doesn't get any higher than these. And just from a financial standpoint, when you print in large quantities, to print this quality actually costs about the same per book as print on demand. So you can actually make these at the same price as you can the print on demand books. The catch is you have to do big quantities to be able to do offset printing like this. And the reason for that is because these silver letters, it's called foil printing. And they actually have to literally make a metal die for every single like foil that they're gonna print. And it might cost $200 to make that. So if you think about it, if you were to try to make just 10 books, you know, with that foil on it, you're splitting $200 between 10 books. It's gonna cost you $10 extra per book to add that one embellishment. Whereas if you print 1,000 books, you know, $100 for that die alone is gonna be split among 1,000 books. And what is that, 10 cents a book? You know, it suddenly makes more sense. Like, oh, I would love to add silver shiny letters to my books for just 10 extra cents. But you're looking at printing 1,000 to 3,000 books at a time, and that is extremely expensive. So print runs are anywhere from, you know, $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 to print a run to get this quality of book. So while, you know, the books eventually do come out to be the same price per book as print on demand, but you get that way higher quality, you're gonna be out 10 grand in the beginning to print them. So what made me finally decide that that was the route I was gonna go was because Secrets of the Tally, my very first book, this one here, it's behind my water bottle. This I had been working on since I was 12 years old. It took me 5 years to write it and 7 more years of editing before I finally was ready to publish this. This was my life dream. This was everything that I had been working on for over half my life by the time that I had published it. And so I wanted shiny silver letters. I just could not bring myself to not have the shiny silver letters that I'd always been envisioning. So when I decided to do offset printing, there was so much that I had to research, but the big thing was, where am I gonna get $5,000, $10,000 to do this print run? And so I went to Kickstarter, which you guys may be familiar with. I'm actually about to run another Kickstarter for my Prince Avalask prequel, which is up here. That's gonna be on Kickstarter in February of 2021. So the way that Kickstarter works is it's project-based. So I needed $5,000 to $10,000. And I told myself if I could raise $5,000, I could come up with the other $5,000. I would take loans, I would, you know, save a bunch of money, because $10,000 is huge. Up until the point of printing Secrets of the Tally, I'd never had $10,000 in my whole life. So I went to Kickstarter and I told everybody that I needed $5,000. And Kickstarter is a little scary because if you don't hit your funding goal, you don't get anything at all. So like the people who pledge don't lose their money. It's just that it never exchanges hands. So if they pledge to give you, they wanted to buy 3 books at 20 bucks a book for $60, but you didn't hit your $5,000 funding goal overall, that means that no money pulls off their cards, you don't get any money, so you don't actually end up printing the books. So basically I went to Kickstarter, I said I need $5,000, and I went so hard in just marketing to my own existing network. Every single person that I knew, every family member, everybody I'd ever met was getting messages from me, was getting handwritten letters from me, I spent just months getting ready for this Kickstarter campaign because I'd never had $5,000 before, and I was asking people to help me raise $5,000. So I went to Kickstarter, I actually ended up getting the money. I think I got a little less than $7,000, which then, you know, you lose a little bit to processing fees, so it probably came out to more like $6,000. So I still had to foot the rest of the bill because it was, I want to say it was roughly $10,000 to print my very first run. Well, maybe less than that actually, now that I think about it. But anyways, I had to end up footing the rest of the bill, and then it was this scary process of, you know, wiring out whatever it was, $7,000, $8,000, whatever I paid for that run, and like just hoping the books turned out all right. It was very scary, but in the end, you know, they turned out okay. Everything worked out well. I got my shiny letters, which I'd always been dreaming of. And so offset printing, I would say, you know, pros and cons. The pro is that, oh my gosh, your books look gorgeous. They look amazing. And so you can actually sell them for more money than you could a print-on-demand paperback. Those are the pros. If quality is really important to you, if this book that you're working on is your lifelong baby, then offset printing might be something to consider. If it's more of a hobby and something you're just kind of like, oh, I want my friends and family to be able to read this, save yourself the time and money, and oh my gosh, go to print on demand. It's going to be so much easier for you. And the books still look nice, you just aren't going to have shiny silver letters, which, you know, is definitely okay. So the cons to doing it the way that I do it is like the stress level of, you know, I did have multiple things go wrong on different print runs. Some of them just wrecked me, like as an entrepreneur. Some of them were so devastating, and I swear actually on every print run I had, something went wrong. And so, don't touch my camera please. So the stress level of printing in huge quantities and wiring out 10, 20, the most I ever wired out was $30,000 for a print run once, and just crossing your fingers that $30,000 worth of books that you're ordering is what you wanted. And it's a stress level that you don't have with print on demand. You also don't have to put out that money ahead of time. You don't have to fundraise like through Kickstarter campaigns, or if you're gonna take like a giant loan advance off of your home equity line of credit or something to pay for this book run. It's a lot more stressful to do it the offset print run way, but ultimately, if you are in this for the long haul, if this is what you want your life to be, and you know, you feel that confidence in your heart that you can sell 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 books, then offset is the way to go. So gosh, that is all 5 of the ways that I know to publish. I hope that this has been helpful. I do have experience with all of them. I told you I have print-on-demand books that are available, so I make my $2 per book every time you order those. I do my offset print runs, which are by far much more stressful, but in the long run, they pay off, and I love them, and I could not be happier with the quality that I have for my books. I've done the hybrid printing, or at least hired them for like just a couple of services, like marketing and distribution. They'll do the printing for you too, although I already have my own printer, so I love the way that that works. And then there is small presses, which don't need an agent. You can just pitch straight to them. They're gonna help like they're gonna handle a lot of the distribution and a lot of the marketing and a lot of all of the headache that you're gonna have to deal with if you do like offset printing yourself. A small press would handle for you. Traditional publishers are gonna handle almost everything, and they're gonna pay you up front for it. So the difficult part though is that you have to get an agent to represent you, and you're probably looking at several years worth of wait time if you want it, like if your book is done right now and you want to go the traditional publishing route, like with one of those big 5 publishers. You are looking at several years before your book will see the light of day and be on the shelves, but it'll probably be on a lot more shelves than if you did it with small press or any of the self-publishing options. So I hope that was helpful. If you guys have any questions, please post them in the comments below. Definitely hit that subscribe button because I love new subscribers and I appreciate every one of you guys. And thank you so much for joining me. I will be making more videos soon. This is one that I've been really excited to talk about for quite a while though. So I hope that was helpful, and everybody have a great rest of your day.